Hey y'all, thank you for joining me again today. And today's recipe is so good. It's just a wonderful entree. And if you wanted, you could put this in the crock pot and fix it. We're going to fix it on the stove, but it would be a good crock pot meal if you want to do that. So it doesn't take a lot of ingredients, and you can serve it over mashed potatoes, rice, or egg noodles would be good. You could even serve it over spaghetti noodles, but today I asked my husband which he wanted and he said rice, so we'll be serving it over rice. But it is called a garlic Parmesan chicken. So, and it is made with a really wonderful gravy, and anything with gravy is wonderful. So let me put you down here and we'll just get started. And as a lot of you know, I buy the rotisserie chicken breast parts from Sam's Club and use those whenever possible. So that's what I'm using today. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil because I've got my pan heating. But if you don't have pre-cooked chicken, just take chicken tenderloins or cut up chicken breast raw, salt and pepper it on both sides, and then cook it until it's browned and you know it's cooked through or almost cooked through. I almost dumped this without showing you. This is my cut up chicken, rotisserie chicken breast, and it's a lot of it because I'm going to make a big recipe and this will freeze well. So I'm going to freeze part of this and it will be another meal. So, you know, that would be a good idea for working mothers. Just freeze, make a big batch and freeze some, and then that'll help you out later on when you're in a hurry. I forgot a spoon, so let me grab that. And you just want to, I'm just going to let my chicken brown a little bit, even though it's cooked. Just let it brown a little bit. And you know, when it browns, the really good pieces come off of it and stick in the pan, which we will get up later with our gravy. And I'm going to salt and pepper this a little bit. And I may just go ahead and brown this for a few minutes and come back and work some more on the recipe so that y'all don't have to sit and just watch chicken cook. So that's what I'll do. I'll let it brown for a few minutes and then I'll be back and we'll go on to the next step. So I got the chicken a little browned and heated through and put it back on the plate. And the pan has a lot of browned stuck on goodness to it. And we're going to put back in a little olive oil. That's probably 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of butter. And get that melted. Olive oil and butter together is really, really good. And so in this mixture, you want to add mushrooms if you have them and want them in your meal. I would like to have them in there, but I don't have any, so I'm just going to be using green pepper and onion. A little bit more. And this is from my bag of green pepper and onion that I cut up and freeze, and then when I want some, I have it and don't have to go to the trouble of cutting it up. So you want to saute this and get it a little soft and translucent. And you can feel all the bits on the bottom of the pan coming up. And it's all just making the recipe that much better, getting those bits up. So I'm going to let that go for just a minute. My frying pan is about too big for my burner. And I used the last of my garlic that comes in the jar yesterday. So I'm going to have to use garlic powder instead. But I have to find it because I'm not sure. Oh, here it is. So while this is sauteing, my pan seems a little hotter in that area. I'm going to add some garlic salt. That was probably a good tablespoon's worth. And I'll add this later. So you add your garlic. And then you add some flour because we're getting ready to make our sauce or our gravy. So let me grab that. So I keep it in this old peanuts container, so I'm going to get out probably 2 tablespoons worth. Let me stick this back. So stir it around. And you want to stir it for a minute or two because you want to cook the flour taste out of the flour. You don't want that taste in your food. So a little of it might stick to the bottom of your pan, and that's okay because it'll come back up when you add your liquid. So while that's browning, I have about 3 cups of warm water in here, and I'm going to add some of the chicken bouillon. This is how I always make my stock because I think it's cheaper and just as good. But you don't want to add too much because it can be salty. And I'm going to put about a tablespoon. And I make my hole in it like that so that it won't come all rushing out. And then I'll get too much in something and I can't do anything about it. So if I can get the lid on here straight. Now you can see that's kind of burning in the pan. So slowly add some of your broth. I'm going to stir that up a little bit. Don't add a whole lot at once because it clumps and just doesn't make the gravy as well. And that's already picked up a bunch of the burnt on in the bottom of the pan. So just keep adding. And you know, as it cooks, it'll thicken up more and more. And I want a lot of gravy because I have a lot of chicken. We love the gravy on rice and mashed potatoes and all, so I always want to try to have a lot of the gravy when I make anything, really. Let me stir that up some more. And I'll just pour that on in. So we're going to let that go for just a few minutes. And if you ever get too much liquid in your gravy, just put some flour in a bowl, put a little bit of the liquid that you're working with into the bowl with your flour and stir it up, and then slowly add it back into your pan like this, and it will thicken up your gravy. But if you put the flour into the liquid, you'll have lumps, and it's just not near as easy to do it that way. So I can feel it still getting a little bit of a liquid up, or not liquid, but little burnt on bits off the bottom. And like I said, those are the really good part. So I'm going to let this go for a few minutes and kind of thicken up, and then we'll come back and I will continue on with the recipe. Okay, we're back, and I wound up having to do what I told y'all to do about thickening your gravy some with some flour in the liquid from your pan, because I knew by the time I added the milk and it was a little thin as it was, the gravy part would just be too thin. So, and this does have a few lumps in it, but they will go away as it lightly simmers. But to this, I'm going to go ahead and add some milk, and I'm going to add probably a couple cups, and that's 2% milk, and the more fatty the milk, the richer it will be. Like if you add not half and half, but the, I can't think of what it is. Anyway, if you add half and half, or any of the fatty milks, you'll just have a richer broth. So I've added that. I'm going to add some parsley, and I don't have a lot of parsley. I only have about a tablespoon and a half. I believe that'll be enough. I was going to go ahead and add some Italian seasoning along with it, but I believe that'll be enough. So you add your parsley to it, and if you have fresh parsley, that's just even better. And then to that, add your Parmesan cheese. And we want to add about 1.5 cups. Really want to get that flavor in there. And I think that's about 1.5 cups. I may have added 2 cups, but that's okay. We love the taste of Parmesan. So you want to stir that up. And it's wanting to clump a little bit, but as I say, as it simmers, those clumps should go away. So, and the Parmesan helps thicken it just a little bit too. So now our gravy, or sauce, if you're in the South, it'll be gravy, and if you're anywhere else, it'll be sauce, is ready. So we're going to put our chicken back in it. And spread it out and let it get covered up. And at this point, if you use fresh chicken, you would want it to go as long as it needed to make sure that your chicken was cooked all the way through. This I'm just going to let very slowly simmer for a while, and then it will be ready. I really enjoy using that chicken I get from Sam's. That's the rotisserie chicken. I think if you've seen my hauls, I believe it's where the rotisserie chickens maybe fall apart, and so they sell 4 breasts in a container for $3.98 or 4 leg and thigh pieces for $3.98. So this is a big pan. I'm gonna have to put a pizza pan on top of it to cover it up, and I'm gonna let it very gently simmer, and we will be back to give it a taste test shortly. Hey y'all, we're back and our food is finished. I'm going to bring you down so you can see in the pan, and I'll bring this up where maybe the light is better, and you can see that. I made some rice, as I told you I was going to do. So I'll put some on the plate. And something I do is I put, depending on how much rice I'm making, I put a generous chunk of butter in the rice as it cooks, and it helps it not stick quite as bad and gives it a really good flavor. So here's the rice on the plate, and I'm going to serve up some of the chicken and gravy. So there is that. It smells wonderful and looks really good too. So I'll bring the camera back up. And I made quite a bit of rice. I know my camera is kind of crooked. I have a crooked tripod, I think. But anyway, I made quite a bit of rice to go with the chicken dish, because when I freeze it, I'll freeze it with the layer of rice down and then the chicken on top in a casserole dish, and then to heat it, I'll just stick it in a real low oven where the rice covered, so the rice won't get hard or burn or anything. Have your oven pretty low and it'll heat really nice like that. So we're going to give this a taste, and I'm hoping I don't get burned because it is hot. That is awesome. As always, or not as always, but a lot of times I say a little salt and pepper because I'm a big fan of salt. Not so much pepper, but I do think a little pepper would be good on it. And salt to me always brings out the taste real good. But it doesn't have to have that to be delicious because this really is good. The gravy is really tasty and the chicken's just delicious. I hope that you get a chance to make this for your family too and enjoy it. And I always appreciate y'all coming and watching my recipes, and then when I hear you've tried them, that really blesses my heart. So thank you for watching. Do something for yourself, but especially do something for somebody else. It may be the only kindness that they experience. So I will see you soon. Bye-bye.